So you've been seeing all these cool older right-hand drive cars, Japanese cars driving around. You want to know how to import it yourself. Join me as I review my experience of the import process. Bringing in one of these Japanese cars, there's a few options on how to handle it.
This is it, folks. You ready? Here he comes. Yes, that is a mini truck.
All right, so you want to import a car. Before you get into the process, you have to ask yourself what kind of buyer you are. There's 4 types of buyers, and this really is similar for purchasing a car here. You have to question yourself. Are you a do-it-yourself kind of person? Are you willing to wait for things? Can you handle the uncertainty and a little bit of a gamble of putting money down that you may not see back? You may not be able to flip the car if you decide to sell it. So these are the questions you have to ask. And then that comes down into what I would think is really 4 types of buyers. So we'll start from the bottom. There's the do-it-yourselfer. I can wait. I'd love to get a good deal. I'm a little frugal. And you want to import something. You want to get a car for a fraction of the price overseas and have it all imported. The next person is a person who doesn't want to wait and likes to see and touch and feel whatever it is they're going to buy firsthand before they make that kind of commitment. And those are the people who will go to the corner. I think around the country, there's a lot of small dealers that have a bunch of small vehicles, K trucks, Beats, whatever you want, and then other regular full-size JDM cars. So those people will probably pay, if we're talking about K trucks, you're probably talking $8,000 to $9,000 for the truck. It is here. You don't have to wait. You can see it firsthand. You can probably even test drive it. A lot of the places have multiple brands and models, so you can compare and then walk away with something that you really want and you're sure about. And you're going to pay a premium for that versus doing it yourself and getting that same vehicle in the exact same condition for maybe $4,000 or $5,000. There's the next level up, which is the ready to go. So it hasn't been hopped up, it hasn't been restored, but it's maybe a vehicle that was imported by a dealer or somebody as a private import, and they went through it. They upgraded, they did all the maintenance, they did the timing belt, they may have cleaned it up, and it's good to go. It's going to be a runner. It has a title. It had been registered in the state already, so it may have a title with it, which saves a lot of headache when you go to register it. That's going to be, God, I want to say in the $8,000 to $10,000 range. And don't hold me true on these quotes. And again, I'm talking more kind of the K trucks, the Actis, the Carries, the Daihatsu Hi-Jets, the Subaru Sandbars. And then there's the top level. You are a person, not only do you want it now, but you want the coolest looking one there. You want it hopped up. You're not a do-it-yourselfer. You don't have time to go wrenching and figuring out how to install suspensions or figuring out which rims fit or doing paint jobs or any of that. And you just want the coolest, hottest truck. And you're probably going to buy it from possibly across the country and have it shipped. And you're going to find a reputable person and you'll have a hassle-free truck. But you're also going to pay for that. You're going to pay in the, I'd say, $11,000 to $16,000 range if we're still talking about K trucks. So for this video is really targeted to that person that I first noted, the former, the person who's willing to wait, wants to save some money, but wants a good deal, but wants something that's not going to fall apart when it hits their driveway, and you don't want to get stuck with that. So this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've gone through to help ensure that I wouldn't get caught with a lemon, so to speak. So first up, let's set the record straight. For people watching this who have not done any research, this is the first time they're even hearing about importing. So basically what I'm referring to is importing a vehicle from Japan into the USA. We're using the federal 25-year law. So we're talking about importing vehicles that are over 25 years old, which makes it a lot easier because of all the EPA and federal guidelines. So I started my journey importing ultimately now 3 vehicles. So here are the three vehicles that I imported over the course of about a year and a half. I started with the Suzuki Carry. Um, like most people, I was new to it. I saw some trucks on the side of the road and I thought it was really cool. When I inquired about the price, I was told it was 10 grand for what they had. And I said, well, oh, heck no. And I started doing a little research and I found somebody that would import a truck for me. So I had to carry. And as you can see, it was not in the greatest shape. There was a lot of rust, but I knew what I was getting. I then got the Honda Beat, which is you kind of get sucked into this once you start purchasing cars, and it just looks so cool and so different. Nothing you see here in the States. So I went down that path, which I imported on my own, and we'll go into that. And then lastly, I imported a Honda Acti. I loved my Carry truck so much, but it had some underlying stuff. You'll see I had done upgrades and painted it and all, but I wanted something that was bulletproof. So I went for super low miles, super clean Acti truck that I could keep for a long time. It was a little bit more car-like. The trucks all differ in different ways. In the Acti, being a Honda, it has real-time all-wheel drive, and it's more car-like. So for doing my dump runs, my Home Depot runs, that's what fit the bill for me. So here's the journey. We'll start with the Carry. The Suzuki Carry that I bought, I had started doing research. I was posting on the forums, the mini truck groups in Facebook, and gentleman had responded to me saying he had some trucks that he was importing and was in the process of importing some new ones. Would I be interested? We shared messages back and forth on Messenger. He gave me pictures, had good conversation. He gave me a bit of an education. I knew what I was getting. I knew it had some rust and whatnot, but mechanically it looked sound. And it, based on his feedback too, it seemed like a sound vehicle beyond the surface rust. We negotiated a price of, I believe, $4,000, and the truck was just getting on the ship. So I had to wait, I want to say 2.5 months before I was able to go and collect it. So when we're talking about pricing, it's really as simple as that. I paid $4,000 for the truck, and then I drove and picked it up in New York, period. It came with all the paperwork. And then I had to do the registration process. Now, this applies to all three vehicles I purchased. In Connecticut, you have to trailer it down to one DMV location and have it inspected. And it's $90 to inspect. You have to have the title translated in Connecticut. And the comical thing about it is it has to be translated by one company that the DMV trusts, and you already have a translated copy of the title. When you import a vehicle, typically they'll send you a translated copy as well, but that does not matter. So the certificate needs to be translated, and you have to pay another $90 for that. Then you're looking at about $450 between taxes and registration fees. Insurance could be, I think it was another 400, 300 to 400, depends on where you are and what your insurance is in your record. So all said and done, you're talking about close to $1,000 just to get it on the road. So that 4,000 is now 5,000. And you would have done that even if you bought something on the side of the street in your local town. Then I did the upgrades. I Raptor lined. I did gray Raptor liner around the whole vehicle on the exterior. I did the bed in black. I did the wheels. I did the shocks. I did the springs. One of the really neat things about these trucks, the trucks especially, I can't speak for the larger cars, but the K vehicles, they're smaller and they're not very intimidating to work on. As someone who is a do-it-yourselfer but not a mechanic, I can do wiring. I can do bolt-on stuff. I'm not intimidated, and I've gone as far as doing a timing belt and water pump in my Acti, which is something I would never even dream about doing in a car. As soon as you start cracking engines open, I don't want to be near it. But it was very comfortable between the how-to guides and all that. So there's that. So you're going to be wrenching. And then I did the radio. The radios don't work on any of the vehicles. They have a different frequency, and they're usually junk. So you buy a radio, but radios, little single din radios now are like $50, if that. So you're taking time going through all of that. You do the light bulbs, LED lights all around. Most of these vehicles are carbureted. They're not fuel injected. And as silly as it sounds, you're not necessarily doing the LED lights to look cool. You're doing them to take the load off the electrical system. And you can actually tell the difference. When you're sitting at a light, the idle can start getting rough. This happened in both of my trucks. But as soon as you switch over to LED lights, especially headlights and all, it gives it relief and runs super smooth. So I find that, and feedback from others the same thing. And then I hopped it up with seat covers and all kinds of extra parts. I had some radiator issues I had to fix. So that was that. So on the Carry, all said and done, between purchasing it and doing the upgrades and registering it, I was into it for just a hair under $7,400. I think I sold it for $8,300 a few months later. So I didn't make a ton of money. Um, and I did put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, but it was fun and I enjoyed it and I did it for hobby. I didn't buy it to flip. I haven't bought any of these vehicles as a business per se. So that is the Carry.